Hi everyone, welcome to AMG 101. I am Peyton.
I am Cam.
And this is going to be your podcast for everything AMG. You can join us weekly. We will discuss league news, upcoming games, trades, signings, off-season moves, and more. Whatever is relevant in AMG at the time, we're going to try to talk about it on here. All right, so this week we have a couple things. We're going to do our award winners, who we think has shined this year, who deserves those awards, and we are going to preview our playoff matchups. Are you ready, Cam, to get started?
I'm very excited. So let's jump right into it. We're going to talk about the MVPs, our offense player of the years for both conferences, defense player of the years, and our rookies of the year. So yeah, let's jump right in. Who's your MVP?
I will lead us off. My MVP is coming from the NFC South, and his name is Kyle Pitts. And I think for me, he's just been a force to be reckoned with. I feel like every Falcons game I watch, the defense is trying to stop this man. And I mean, he's not the only weapon on that offense. The new rookie quarterback, James Williams, he's played amazing. But Kyle Pitts, he's just been an unstoppable force. I mean, 2,062 yards, 35 touchdowns. That's just insane. 116 receptions to go along with it. I mean, that stat line is just a crazy number, especially for a tight end. I don't think we've ever had a tight end have these stats in the AMG.
It's wild. The funny thing is, every game they know the ball is going to Kyle Pitts and they still can't stop him.
I think him being a tight end, he has the height, obviously 6'6", 245. He's a big guy, but man, he is fast as well. That's the thing with him being a tight end. It makes it tough to cover. And
in the red zone, I mean, just book it. It's a touchdown.
Oh yeah,
it's going to Kyle.
So that would be my MVP. Pretty easy for me. Cameron, who you got for MVP?
So for my MVP, I've been very high in this guy all year. It's none other than Saquon Barkley from the New York Giants. 24 scrimmage yards, 96 catches, 41 total touchdowns. And not to mention, he did lead New York to their second straight division title. So here they are at the 3 seed at 10-7. When you really look at the amount of scrimmage yards, I'm pretty sure he broke the record there. And then when you look at combined receiving touchdowns and rushing touchdowns, 41, he broke that too. So Saquon is my MVP.
Speaking of Saquon Barkley, moving on to my NFC Offensive Player of the Year, and it's got to be Saquon. I mean, the Pitts and Saquon were both just animals this year. Saquon was kind of the Giants' offense, honestly. They had trouble. I know that offensive line is not great over there. The blitz was coming hard at him a lot, and Saquon was there to kind of out of the backfield. I mean, he had 620 yards after the catch. So over half of his yards are coming after the catch. I mean, he's really creating the plays for him. I mean, 18 touchdowns. He was kind of their red zone guy. I know they had struggled in the year past with their red zone offense, and he kind of helped them out there with that. And most of his rushing touchdowns were off long runs. I mean, he was breaking off these super long runs every game. And I think that's just what is great about Saquon, that big play ability. Anytime he touches the ball, you got to be scared it's going for 6.
That's what I'm saying. Anytime this guy's on the field, I don't care who else is on the field, he's the most talented player there. Point blank, period. Give him the MVP.
All right, Cam. Offensive Player of the Year, NFC.
All right. This is funny because you just talked about Kyle Pitts, but he's my NFC Offense Player of the Year. Like we said, he's a big guy. He's a fast guy out of Florida. 2,062 receiving yards. I mean, you don't even see those numbers out of receivers, much less a tight end. And you add on 35 touchdowns, 116 catches. This guy's going to be – he's going to be a really, really he's going to be a stud, point blank, for the rest of this cycle. So –
I think that's what's crazy about Pitts. I mean, it's his second year. He hasn't been in the league long. 2 years in, he's putting up these numbers. I can't imagine what else we're going to see from him.
He's only going to get better. I mean, what is he, 22?
Yeah, I think 22 is. I mean, that's just crazy. All right, it is time for our AFC Offensive Player of the Year, and it is the man who led the team to the number 1 seed, Patrick Mahomes. He was just amazing this year. 50 touchdowns, 22 hits. I mean, just what you would expect from Patrick Mahomes. 5,377 yards. I mean, he led this Chiefs team Of course, they have great weapons, and he's getting them to him every game. And you just lead him to a 14-3 record. Patrick Mahomes, Offensive Player of the Year for AFC.
Peyton, here's the thing. We got the same guy, Pat Mahomes. I mean, I don't know how you can pick anybody else here for the AFC Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, the thing that really just is crazy to me is the 78.8 completion percentage. That's wild.
Wow.
And then the QBR is at 135.8, really almost there at perfect for the entire year, and that's just nuts. So yeah, I really think Pat deserves this. So yeah,
I definitely got to agree with the AFC. I thought it was a pretty clear choice for me. But let's move on to NFC Rookie of the Year. And this was a guy at the beginning of the season. If you asked me, I probably wouldn't have put him in this. But, he really showed out. He was I believe he was a top 10 pick at number 6. And that is Cameron Quinton, the running back from Montana. And he was just a great. I thought he got picked way too early.
I did too. Yeah.
I mean, out of Montana, small school, you don't expect huge things. He's 6 foot 205. But he put up 1,200 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns. A great year running the ball, but also had a little receiving, 800 yards, 5 touchdowns receiving the ball as well. So dual threat running back there. And I think he definitely earned the NFC Rookie of the Year putting up those numbers, and he definitely exceeded my expectations coming into the year.
Yeah, completely. I mean, he's almost at 2,000 scrimmage yards in his first year. Tampa Bay is in the playoffs once again, division champs, and I think a large part of that is due to Cameron Quinton. So, but just a bit off that, my NFC Rookie of the Year is James Williams. Like you said about Cameron, I really wasn't high on this guy. I really didn't think he would put up the numbers that he put up this year, but he put up 5,211 passing yards, 57 touchdowns, and as a rookie, a 126.3 QBR. And just like the Bucs, the Falcons are in the playoffs as well. So a large part of that is due to James Williams. So that is my NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, James Williams had a great season. Had a lot of help with Kyle Pitts, obviously. I mean, when you got a receiver like that, you're definitely going to put up some good numbers. But he was a stud. So moving on to AFC Rookie of the Year, we have Marcus Barteau. And, wow, he was a stud this year. The leader of the Buffalo Bills in receiving, 1,700 yards, 13 touchdowns, 94 catches. The man went off. He had a great start from Michigan, 6'2". He's a big guy, not huge, but good size for a receiver. I mean, he really showed out for the Bills this year. I mean, outcaught Stephon Diggs, who was their number one guy, of course, and Darren Waller, who they traded for in the offseason. Barteau just had a huge deal, year, and it was definitely earning the AFC Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he was a real speedy guy. I really didn't expect him to, get the amount of yards over Diggs, but he did as a rookie. So shout out to him. My AFC Rookie of the Year is from the same team, from the Bills. Dante Beal, strong safety. He was picked in the first round, 23rd overall, out of Stanford. And he had 50 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 1 TD. So pretty much their defense they were pretty solid. Dante played great. So that is my AFC Rookie of the Year.
All right, moving on to the NFC Defensive Player of the Year. And this was a guy, for me, I didn't see many conversations about Defensive Player of the Year on the NFC side, and that's Antoine Winfield from the Buccaneers. He put up 78 tackles, 44 solo, 2 tackles for loss. I mean, he's safety, so he's not going to get a ton of those. But he had 9 ints, 7 deflections, 2 forced fumbles and recoveries, and 3 defensive touchdowns. And he just kind of put up numbers all across the board, especially as a safety. That's a great year. I mean, 9 picks is always good. And then leading the team in tackling. That's, in my opinion, a great year for Antoine Winfield, definitely earning the Defensive Player of the Year. And honestly, I wasn't expecting to pick him when I went and looked, but I mean, he really dominated that side of the ball for the Bucs.
Yeah, I agree. He played out of his mind. For my AFC Defensive Player of the Year, it's going to be Max Crosby. 22 sacks, just half a sack shy of the league record, 30 tackles, 4 forced fumbles. That line in Las Vegas, I mean, They played out of their minds this year. The thing that kind of, I guess, surprised me a little bit, despite Max Crosby and how well he played, they missed the playoffs by one game, I believe. But Max Crosby, nuts. Played amazing.
Yeah, he definitely had a huge huge year. But not one I was expecting, honestly. Max Crosby, kind of his breakout season, I would say. I mean, dear Lord, he really broke out.
Yeah.
Moving on to my AFC Defensive Player of the Year, I have the safety from the Titans, Kevin Byard. 12 picks, 83 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 11 deflections, 2 forced fumbles, and a touchdown. I mean, kind of similar stats to Antoine Winfield, but 3 more interceptions. I mean, a huge year for Byard. I watched him play against the Chargers. I think he had a pick in that game. I mean, it seemed like Kevin Byard, it was every time I tuned into a Titans game, was getting an interception.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's all over the field. Titans, great defense, Byard. Yeah, so that's a good pick for my NFC Defense Player of the Year. It is a guy that is respected in this league. He's a linebacker for the Bears, Khalil Mack. 15.5 sacks, 39 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception. That's a crazy stat line for a linebacker guy. But yeah, he was just all over the field, and you see that the Bears had the 1 seed. Khalil Mack played a big part in that. So yeah, so now we are going to move on to our turnaround team.
Yes, turnaround team of the year. Cameron, I'm going to let you lead off on this one.
Okay, so for me, I feel like this was pretty obvious. The New England Patriots. They literally went 1-16 a year ago, 1 win. They didn't really have a lot of respect, I guess, throughout the league. 16 losses, but look at this year. They won 10 games. 10 games, thing that broke my heart. They missed the playoffs. With 10 wins, you don't really see that very often. But I think this team is going to build off of this year, and in my opinion, I think they're going to be in the playoffs next year. So they're only going to get better. So, yeah, New England Patriots, crazy year. That's my turnaround team.
My turnaround team, I feel like, has to be the Chicago Bears. I mean, went from missing the playoffs altogether to the number 1 seed in the NFC. Yeah. I mean, a huge turnaround. Justin Fields, a great year. Really taking care of the ball, not turning it over. May not put up huge numbers, but he's not turning that ball over. And if you just score for the defense, then the defense is going to have their back. That Chicago defense has been outstanding. Yes. And Justin Fields just taking care of the ball has led them to wins and getting them that number 1 seed, really turning the team around, I think, for this season. And then I think we have our bust team next, correct?
Yes. For my bust team, this team went to the NFC Championship, I believe, a year ago. They're also a team out of the NFC North, the Detroit Lions. They missed the playoffs this year, unfortunately. But, despite all that, they still, across the board, stat-wise, they had a solid defense, a solid offense. Jared Goff, 40-plus touchdowns, only 20 ints, I believe. I'm going to pull up the stats right here real quick. All right. Detroit Lions, they were 3rd in passing yards, 8th in yards, total yards on offense, 8th in points. And then when you look at the defense side of the ball, what they need to work on, I think, is what really hurt them this year was their rushing defense. 25th in yards allowed, almost giving up 100-plus yards a game. They had a great points allowed. They only give up 25 points allowed, 15th in the league. Not bad. But I was just really high on this coming in the year. I really didn't expect them to make the NFC Championship a year ago, but they did, and they surprised me. And I was just kind of going into this season, okay, they're going to build off that. They got a lot of young talent. Michael Gallup had a great year as well. T.J. Hawkinson, another great year. I feel like this offense is it's going to click, and I feel like they're going to be back next year. For this year, for me, they underperformed. They're my bust team.
For my bust team, I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. Barely missed out on the playoffs at 9-8. But this was a team a year ago that lost to the Jaguars on a Tim Tebow touchdown that I'm sure they know that is in their memory forever. But I mean, I think this is the team we expected to bounce back from that, get in the playoffs at least as a wild card. Maybe not win the division with the Chiefs in there, but at least get in there as a wild card and possibly get some revenge for that loss, get a playoff win. But I mean, just couldn't put it together this year. They did trade Darren Waller in the offseason. They brought in a replacement in Devontae McCord. Obviously, he's not going to become Darren Waller right away. I mean, hopefully that's what they're hoping for. But, I mean, maybe that loss of Darren Waller really hurt their offense. But I expect them to bounce back next year. I think they'll make the playoffs next year. That's my prediction. But not what they wanted this year, obviously missing the playoffs. So I think let's go ahead and move into – we're going to give our prediction for our playoff matchups this week. And I think as we go, we'll kind of give you our dark horses and our choke teams. All right?
Yeah.
So starting off with our first matchup, we had the Bills and Jags, but that has already been played, which was the Jags winner. So
I will say, though, that I would have picked the Jags to win this game.
Upset.
Yeah.
Which did happen.
Completely. I mean, they're a reigning champ, so I kind of expected that, but yeah.
All right, so we'll do just a quick, probably 1 minute of about each game. We got Titans versus Dolphins. I am going to be taking the Dolphins in this one, and that is my dark horse for the playoffs. I think they had a slow start to the year, but they are bouncing back. They're gonna take a run to the AFC Championship. That is my prediction for the Dolphins. Cam?
Yeah, I think Claxton and Derrick Henry. I don't feel like the Dolphins are going to be able to match up with that, so I agree with you there.
So wait, you're taking Titans or Dolphins?
Oh, I'm taking Titans, I guess.
Oh, okay.
We're complete opposites.
I don't know if Claxton's ready for the playoffs. I mean, he had a good year, but I don't know if he's quite ready for this level. I think Dolphins will win that one. So moving on to the Ravens versus the Colts, and we are coming to my AFC choke team. I think Colts are going to beat the Ravens and move on to the next round. That Colts defense is something serious. I think they have what it takes to shut down Lamar and get the win.
Yeah, I would say the Colts, talking about our dark horses, I think this is a team that can surprise some people. I think this is a team that can possibly make a run. I said it last year, and I think they were just one game away from Super Bowl. The Ravens, they kind of had, I guess not as good years as they had a year ago. Only 9 wins, squeaking in there. They have a weak division. But I do think the Colts are going to beat the Ravens for the second year in a row, because didn't they play in the divisional a year ago?
I think you're right, yeah.
So I'm going to be taking the Colts there. I'm going to say they get this second back-to-back playoff win against the Ravens. So.
All right, moving on to the NFC. First game, we have the Rams versus the Eagles. I'm going to take the Rams here. The Eagles are on a cold stretch. Lost, I think, 4 in a row. And, yeah, I'm going to take the Rams.
I think 5 in a row. Yeah.
5 in a row. Rams.
But
second Rams.
For my choke team, the Eagles, I'm going to say that, they've lost 5 straight. They really haven't been able to figure it out here late in the season. And they're just kind of, I guess you could say, limping into the playoffs. And they're going against the Rams, who are back-to-back NFC West Division champs. They've been 12-5 2 years in a row. I'm going to say that the Rams are in away with this one. So.
All right, moving on to Giants and Falcons. And speaking of choke teams, my choke team is the New York Giants. I think the Falcons' offense is going to decimate that defense. That defense has been horrible all year. Not a great year for them. I mean, they've gotten to the playoffs, won the division, but it hasn't been at the hands of the defense. And I think the Falcons have the weapons to really tear apart that defense and win that game.
I will say my NFC dark horse, a team that I feel like can, make kind of a run here in the NFC. I'm going to say the Giants are that team. And I would say this game's kind of a toss-up, but I'm still going to take the Giants. This is going to be a shootout, very high-scoring game. I don't think a lot of defense here is going to show up. Giants don't have the best defense. The Falcons, they tend to also give up a lot of points. But I'm going to have to take Saquon and the Giants here with the Falcons.
All right, moving on to our final NFC wildcard matchup, and that is the Bucs versus the Cards. And this is my dark horse for the playoffs. Is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. And they're 11-5 or 11-6. Sorry, 17 games now, but 11-6. And honestly, it's just based off these last 2 games. They played 2 quality opponents and they really kind of just showed out. They destroyed the Chiefs, who was in 1 seed in the AFC. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, honestly. Cardinals, good team, but are they at that level to make it far in the playoffs, win a playoff game? I would have said no, but then 2 big wins over a Chiefs team. I mean, they beat the Saints pretty bad, 50 points on the board. I mean, Saints haven't had a great year, but it's still a good win to me. And looking at this matchup with the Buccaneers, they played them 3 weeks ago, lost 31-14, and I think it's revenge time for the Cardinals.
I would say I just don't see the Cards beating the Bucs here. I think the Bucs are a more experienced playoff team. They barely made it in last year. It came down in week 18, just like it did this year. Went all the way to the Super Bowl. But the Cardinals, they don't have that playoff experience. I think here in this first game of the playoffs, I think they're going to choke. I think they're a pretender. I don't think they stand a chance against the Bucs.
All right, before we end this episode off, how about we give our Super Bowl prediction? I am going to take from the AFC, the Colts, versus in the NFC, I will take the Bears. And the winner, I think, of this year's Super Bowl will be the Indianapolis Colts.
Wow. Me personally, I don't know if the Bears are going to make it. Yes, they had a great regular season. Yes, they're the 1 seed. But I think the Giants, I think they have a great shot to make it. I'm going to have to take them on the NFC side. And then on the AFC side, I'm going to have to agree with you with the Colts. I think they're a very balanced team. They got Jordan Love this past year through a trade. And Jonathan Taylor, we all know he's nuts. Dude's insane. I'm going to say, and also their defense. The defense has been playing great as well. Yeah, I'm going to have to take the Colts over the Giants in our AMG Super Bowl.
All right, I think that about wraps up episode 1 of AMG 101. We will be back next week with more playoff news and starting to get into some off-season news and some trade block rumors.
Yes, we have heard some trade talk rumors. I will say a couple names that have been thrown around. Deshaun Watson from Houston, Jamar Chase, and TJ Watt. Those are the big 3 that we're looking at right now, and so it might get a little crazy here.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.
Adios.